Wow.
Okay, I think people have stopped trickling in now. Okay, so I guess we can get started. Should we start with introductions and then everyone can send their questions to the chat and we'll pick out from there and answer them as best as we can. Okay, I can start with my introduction first. So my name is Bima. I'm from Ghana and I'm in the MPA 65 program. I'm specifically in health policy and I just started this September, so I'm my first year. My interests lie in global mental health and health equity, specifically in sub-Saharan Africa, and I am an admissions ambassador. Happy to answer any of your questions.
I can go. My name is Princess. I am also from Ghana. I'm in the Masters of Science program in the Department for Global Health and Populations in my first year. Um, and yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Hi everyone, my name is Alem. I'm also from Ghana. I'm in the MPH 45 Global Health, and I'm happy to meet you all.
Okay, so I see we have our first question. Are you folks international admits? So I guess one person answer mine. Yes. So I grew up in Ghana. I did high school in Ghana as well. I'm a US citizen. I did my undergrad here as well, but I have the international background and experience. So and I can popcorn it over to Alan.
Yeah, so I'm also an international student. I had my undergrad in China, and I went back to Ghana to practice as a physician for 3.5 years. So I did all the process from Ghana, from application to visa applications before getting here. Yeah.
For me, I studied a little bit in Ghana and then I moved to Qatar. So that's where I had my elementary and high school. And then I moved to the US and that's where I had my undergraduate. I did my undergrad degree and then now my master's here at Shem.
Okay. Um, our next question is, how strong is the international student community here, and are there specific events or organizations that cater to international students?
I would say the international student body is pretty strong. Um, Although we do have various international groups, maybe the African Society, maybe we can have a Ghanaian group, Nigerians, the Asian community, Indian society. So they do span around, but collectively you would end up getting continental regions creating the groups. Like we have the Asian group, we have the African Health Forum, and these organizations serve as a bedrock for people to feel at home and hold events once a while during the semester.
Yes, I second. I think we're all in the Africa Health Forum, so honestly, it's just a great place to find community and be with your people. So I think each community has some sort of group, and it's always also open to anyone who's interested in just that region's culture or um yeah, that region's culture, sorry. Okay. And then this question is about scholarships and financial aid. So it says, are there scholarships or financial aid packages specifically available for international students? If anyone here applied for any, if there's any resources we could all share.
I can talk a little bit about financial aid. Um, as part of the application process, there is a separate financial aid package that is recommended or highly encouraged for everybody to fill out and apply. So I would definitely recommend doing that. It's after you finish your application packet, you will get a link. I believe that will be sent to your email that you used to apply. And they will detail what the financial aid application looks like. And in that application, you get to detail if you're like an international student or you're first gen or the different characteristics within your application and within your academic journey, so you can be able to explicitly mention that out. And then usually there are also a ton of links on there that would refer you to other external applications as well that you can check out, or other external fellowships that you can check out. One thing I would recommend, it's also going to Harvard's website itself to see what other open um, applications there are in terms of not only just financial aid, but fellowships as well. Some teaching fellows are also a form of financial aid where students get to be able to help professors in class and then they kind of get paid for it. Unfortunately, international students are not eligible for federal work study, but there are other opportunities for you to get financial aid as well.
Okay, there's a question about I am undecided between the health management and social and health behavior concentrations. Are any of you in these? Do you have any suggestions on how to pick besides looking at the curriculum guides? So I don't think any of us are particularly in these. I'm in health policy. I know Alam is in global health. Princess, what's yours again?
Global health as well.
Okay, global health as well. But I think I just kind of chose health policy based on my interest. Like long term, I know I want to go into like mental health policy in particular. So that's kind of why I chose health policy. I don't know if you guys have any reasons, like in particular, why you chose global health, but I think for me, it was, I guess I'll choose mostly between health management and health policy, but I went the policy route just because of the required classes. It just seemed to align more with my long-term goals.
I would also have a little to talk about this part. It's quite challenging to make a decision if you don't really know much about the program. But what I would say is that you should also look at what you want to do. As Bema said, she wants to go into health policy, so that's one of the that's one of the reasons why she leaned into that program. If you are not well decided, you can just rely on one for now. One thing that Harvard does best is that you have the ability to cross register with other courses, so you can still take health and social behavioral, what's the name, courses, even if you are in health management, and the vice versa. You can also cross register within the other Harvard schools. So I would say the concentration you find yourself is not really a tight corner, but you can really um, diversify your course. And I think there are also concentration certificates, right?
Yeah, there is. I think
Yeah,
there's in-depth area or something of that sort that you can
yeah,
choose for
yeah,
the MPH. I know there's global health, there's mental health, women and children's health, and a few others as well.
yeah. There's nutrition, and there's health and social behavior concentration too. Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna add, I will put the link in the chat, but you can also reach out to some other ambassadors who are, and you can check out their major, and if it aligns with what you're saying or what you're interested in, you can definitely also reach out with them and set up an appointment with them to talk to them about the experience in case that gives you an idea of what to expect.
There's a question about opportunity to work while doing a master's, and then there was also one about working in research. So I can answer that. Right now I'm doing a research assistant program. It's called Global Mental Health at Harvard. And I know there's also there's a bunch of opportunities to work with professors. So that definitely is very common whilst you're doing your master's. There's also if I think there's also work study, but I'm not sure exactly how it differs, like for international versus US citizen, but there is opportunity for both international and citizens to work during their masters.
Also trying to touch a little bit on that. As an international student holding an international passport, you it depends on the type of visa you come in with. There's an F1 visa that allows you to work while in school, but when school is in session, you are only allowed to work for a maximum of 20 hours, and that is including any research positions, any TA positions that you take, and this work should be within any of the Harvard affiliate campuses. It cannot be outside Harvard. And on vacations, it stretches to 40 hours per week. And I think, yeah, in vacation during the break, it's always up to 40 hours, and it also should still be within any of the Harvard affiliate facilities. That is with an F1 visa. But if you are here with a J1 visa, then you wouldn't be allowed to work while on campus. That's the limitation that comes with that visa. And this visa, we see it commonly with people that come with Fulbright scholarships and other scholarships that doesn't mandate them to work while on campus. But once you're done with the program, you can work with the F1 visa, and the J1 visa. Sometimes they are required to go back to their home countries. So I don't know. I know that there are certain processes you can apply for a waiver. Yeah.
Okay, we have a question. Can a medical doctor from an African country like Nigeria with a West evaluation report apply for MP age 45 credits quantitative methods? I believe the answer is yes, but I don't know if you can answer that for us, please.
Yeah, I'm a medical doctor, and it's eligible. I'm not doing the quantitative methods, but I have a Nigerian friend who's also doing the quantitative methods, and he's a medical doctor from Nigeria, so it's very possible.
Okay, thank you. Then this one is, can we take a student loan to study? I wanted to go for my master's in nutrition. What's the competition in this area? I don't know specifically about master's in nutrition. I guess if one of you can speak about the student loan, if like about the student loan process for international students.
I would, okay, Miss Princess, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, I think with Harvard does recommend some specific banks that international students can bank with. One of them is the Federal Credit Union we have here on campus. And they are specifically catered to serve the Harvard community and Harvard students. So in terms of loans, those are the people to reach out to. And they also have other resources that they can connect you with as well, if in case that is not necessarily serving you well. So that will be one resource I would definitely plug, the Harvard Federal Credit Union.
And I see a few questions about the PhD programs, but it would be best if you direct your questions to the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. And someone asked if any of us are getting our doctorates in public health, and the answer is no, we're all master's students. We have a question about the GRE. I personally didn't take it. I'm not sure if any of you did.
I almost took the GRE, but then they changed the requirement for um my program, so I didn't have to, but it's definitely been instilled back into the program. So whether you're applying for a master's of science or a PhD, you are required to take the GRE. So I would recommend starting that preparation now so that you're able to get those results in as soon as possible. And then, like Mama said, if you have more questions, you can always reach out to admissions, and we'll definitely link their email as well in the chat, so you have the opportunity to reach out to them.
Okay, there's a question about SOFAs. You must have applied via SOFAs. Can you please share your experience about it? Do we need to submit a transcript copy, or an independent agency will do it? I believe we probably all did apply via SOFAs. I can't remember. I think we had to like enter our transcript grades like one by one, but we also had to get our schools to send it. I can't remember exactly if someone else remembers better.
Yeah, so as an international student who haven't studied either in the US or Canada, you don't have your undergrad degree or whatever degree you're using to apply, either from US or Canada, you'll be required to also give a transcript. But our process is quite different because you would need it to be evaluated by WES, which is the World Education Service. So usually you would create an account with WES. You would contact your school to send your transcript to WES. WES would convert your transcript to the US or Canadian standard. And in the process of creating that website, you should make it clear that you are using it for an education purpose, because WES is able to standardize your transcript, but it will ask you whether is it for education, is it for employment, or is it for general immigration purpose. So you should say it's for education. And once WES is able to do that, you would now send your SOFAS code to WES, and WES will send the transcript to SOFAS, and SOFAS will distribute it to all the universities you are applying. So it's quite different from the people who didn't have their undergrad either in the US or Canada.
And then I will say, if you're also an international student, but you did your undergrad within the US or in Canada, there are some SOFAS fee waivers that are available to you as well, especially if you do like you paid for or you filed your taxes within the current years. You can definitely use that as a form of a plea to be able to get that SOFAS application waived. And it's usually the first $145 because you have to pay that. And then every subsequent application, it is $50. That isn't waived, but that first 145, you can get that fee waived, but you would have to apply earlier. So make sure that you are requesting that fee waiver as soon as possible. But in terms of transcripts, it's pretty much is easier because we don't have to go to WES. You just upload your transcripts as it is. Do be careful because some might ask for official and some might ask for unofficial. So just make sure that you're making that difference. And then also with the letters of recommendation as well. Be look out for how many each school is asking, because some schools ask for more than others. So just make sure that you're having the difference between those two.
Okay, thank you. Next question is, as someone who's interested in applying for health management, how has your overall experience been, and does the curriculum focus on US health, or can it be applied globally globally for international students? So I'm in health policy. So far, so I'm still in my first semester, and I think so far, a few of the classes have been very US focused, but I feel like with at least our core classes, they always try to like apply it to global settings, at least in a class or two. And also going forward with electives, especially, I know I'll be choosing more global health electives. So you have the opportunity to take classes that aren't so US focused. But I guess given the fact that we're in the US, I had to take a class, US health policy, which of course was very US focused. But I think that was like one out of many classes that will be so focused on the US? Um,
You've seen that question, right? That we all wearing glasses, so is how
glasses. That's
how
all
hard
from me.
it's a question about a GPA in admission. I would definitely say a GPA, it's necessary, but it's not the defining factor. Harvard is looking for a diverse, well-disciplined people who are on a certain path, and who have shown a form of dedication to their field, and what they are looking for in their near future. That's a story that Harvard is looking for. And your GPA plays a role, your CV plays a role, your work experience, your research, everything plays a role. Even if you're a footballer, you can put it in. All those things are factors that makes you unique among every other applicant. So don't be discouraged if your GPA is not 4.0. If you have that, good. But if you don't have that, try to make sure that everything is in line and it all speaks to one story.
There's a question about how much does the Chan admin help with visa related matters as well as OPT/CPT? I don't know
Dema,
if any of us.
I didn't hear you.
Oh, sorry. The question
Um,
is how much does the Chan admin help with visa related matters as well as OPT/CPT?
oh, so with respect to OPT and or CPT, this is it's a 1 year opportunity for international students to stay within the US and work. The process is very smooth. All you have to do is to try and get employment within the first, I think, 90 days after graduation. And the international office is willing to process your documents very as soon as possible for you. Although sometimes, because of the international student load, not only in Harvard but in the entire US, there's a delay with as to when the OPT cards come back or the eligibility cards come back for you to work. But within the meantime, the international office is able to cover you with certain temporary documents. So it's a very smooth transition if you get work after graduation, and which is also very pretty easy if you immerse yourself into the campus and other opportunities that come by during your stay. Once you read in, can I answer? Someone is asking whether they have to take a TOEFL exam. So usually on the website, it would tell you whether your degree was taught in an English medium. So from Egypt, the question is, did I earn my medical degree in an English medium? And does my country fall under the list of countries that has been waived to provide an English proficiency test? If your country is not within that list, then you would have to take an English proficiency test, and Harvard accepts TOEFL, the OET, and I think no TOEFL, IELTS, and I can't quite remember whether Duolingo was part or not, but I just know there's TOEFL and IELTS, which I can't readily remember, but we would try to give you that information. If your undergrad was or your degree was not taught in English medium and your country is not eligible, then you might have to take that exam.
I also saw a question about like stipends, jobs, TAs, positions, etc. Yes, so Harvard does offer those opportunities as well. Usually those emails are sent out during the summer before, like earlier in the summer before the semester starts, in case students are interested in applying for those TA positions. I don't know exactly how much the stipend is. I know it does differ. So that would be more of a personal research thing where you go on the website and then you look it up, especially according to the classes as well that are being TA'd. And then in terms of other jobs, as Alan initially said, we are restricted to only working within the Harvard University network. But yeah, there are other open opportunities for jobs on campus. So you can definitely apply to those as well to help with your study.
I seen another question about someone who's an international student from India who is trying to find out what are the chances or possibilities of him getting a scholarship. Um, I think we've tried to answer this question that the scholarships are based on the merit and also financial needs based. So after all students are admitted, you are all weighted and you as a scholarship awarding committee that would have to look at it and then decide on who gets it. Everyone is being given a fair chance to get the opportunity, but right after other applications, I think some few weeks after, you get a link to apply for financial aid from Harvard, and everyone should put in an application during that period. When you miss that period, it will be very difficult for you to be considered.
I see another question in regards to um, living on campus, financially, but also housing wise. I think one tip that I would definitely give is to start looking early. The moment you get an acceptance and you have decided that you want to come, Boston is a big city. That means that housing tends to run out quickly. So once you have decided that Harvard is where you want to come, do get on that house search immediately. Luckily, Harvard or Chan does also provide some housing options for students here on campus, but also off-campus options, which I will also link that in the chat. Just peruse the website and then it will give you an idea of what to expect in terms of rental prices, in terms of um, areas within Boston that students and young professionals live in. And then also, hopefully, that will give you an idea of a budget to start to plan towards. If you look on Harvard's website as well, it gives you an idea of a budget to expect within HSBH. Do use that as a guide as well. Sometimes your costs could differ depending on either where you're staying, your plan, or from the financial aid you get, but that would definitely be something to look at just to get a reference of what to expect. And then I will also recommend looking at SHUDEC. That is the international house here for the School of Public Health. It's a range of people live in there, from international students to locals. So it's a great place to build community and also be close to campus. But if you also prefer to live off campus within Boston, Boston is a very walkable city, full of students, full of young professionals. So you'll be able to fit right in. But I will also link those websites in the chat.
On a bit of housing, I just want to add a little bit. I would want to say thank you to Princess. As an international student from Ghana, I got my visa very late. I think just some few weeks before orientation. So on deciding on housing, it was quite difficult because I had missed the deadline and the lottery that Chan was offering for housing. So reaching out to people like Princess and other Ghanaians through LinkedIn, they were very helpful in helping me to get a place. So aside those resources, try to look up for people who are within Harvard or who are alumni that you can relate with, and try to reach out to them. I'm sure that they would be of great help. Yeah. I've seen a question about if is are Canadians seen as international students? For my knowledge, I think Canadian students are also considered international students, but it's quite different as compared to other international students. Canadians and the US do have a very good bond. So for me coming from Ghana and other parts of the world, you would need an I-20 for your visa application, but for Canadians, it is quite different. So I would say the responsibilities and the requirements from Canadians is quite different from all other international students. Yeah. Bema, someone is asking a question about the SOFAS application. You did yours in the US. Do you have any experience as to how it
What,
was for
sorry, which
you
question are we
generally?
answering?
Uh,
Generally,
yeah,
yes, I
SOFAS.
think the SOFA's really streamlined everything. Being able to do the general application for all of the schools I was applying to was pretty helpful. I remember, I think there was something about the transcript. Like, I think I had to enter one by one, like my transcript grade, which was a bit tedious, but I preferred doing that than paying to get it done for me. So I did that, and I think I also had to request for my undergrad to either I had to request an official transcript for my undergrad and upload it myself, something of that sort, and then also the letters. I think three letters of recommendations that were required, I believe. And I think I did an extra one. Um, yeah. So was there a specific question, or was it just like general?
It's
I think
general that
general. Yeah. Okay.
they started filling it out and they got stuck. So do you have any tips? I because SOFAS was in sessions, I tried to dedicate maybe each session a week to each session so that I'm very thorough with every application because this is what is being sent to every university. So you don't have you don't have a say. So you have to make sure that everything is well kept and there's constant editing and review. Yeah.
Yeah. Then someone asked, do they look at the letters of recommendation beyond the three? I think it varies school by school. I'm not sure if Harvard actually looked at my extra one or not. So I wasn't able to tell, but I still submitted it anyways.
Yeah, I also
Yeah.
took more than four recommendation letters. That's because I'd been out of school for over 3 years, and I think one of the requirements was that if you've been out of your undergrad for I think less than 3 years, you need a recommendation letter from your university. Um, One of the professors from the university, and I also took some from my current workplace. So I tried to make it. I took one from my workplace. I took one from the community and the people that I've been working with, not not in the clinical space, and I took one from the university. So I think I got 4 or 5, and you don't know which one is being sent to Harvard or which other universities that you send to. Just
And then there's a question, do you have any tips for essay writing and the application in general? I think my number one tip will be to start early. Just because I think I'm a person that I don't know, I'm not so into writing, so it takes me a long time to like get my essays in, and also asking people to like proofread it for you because obviously you're the one that's written it. Seeing it from a new lens, someone seeing it from a new lens, they like can't find like grammatical error or punctuation or something that you didn't miss, that you didn't include initially. And also, I guess just being very like, I guess with the general essay, it goes to all schools, but for your the supplementary essays, being like very specific about why it is Harvard you want, like mentioning professors' names and doing your research, like very tailored to the school you're applying to is great as well.
I saw a question in regards to if they should take a research-based master's or I think a practical master's. I can tell a little bit about the research path, and then if you all want to elaborate on the course part. But with the masters, whichever masters you take, it really depends on what you want to do with it in the future. So for the Masters of Science, we are very much heavy on research. So we're taking all the practical classes such as EPI, biostats. Other tracks take it too, MPHs take it too. But with the Masters of Science, it goes even more in depth, and they're all separate classes for it. And you're expected to do a research component during the program. With the intention of either going into academia or you want to do research, something within that range. So if research is something that you're heavily interested in and you know for a fact that you want to do it in the future, not everyone who does the program obviously goes into research, does your PhD. It really depends. But if you have an interest or you're very strongly interested in quantitative research, qualitative research, mixed methods, either one, the Masters of Science might be a good fit for you. But you can also take other non-research based classes, but most of our credits that are required are geared towards us going into research. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what to expect for the research track.
Are spouses of students on J1 or F1 visa allowed to work? For the short answer, I would say no. So if you're an F1 student, you're allowed to bring your spouse in. That is, if you are legally married and you are able to prove that beyond doubt. So you can bring in your spouse on an F2 visa, but they are not allowed to work either on campus or anywhere in the US. For J1, I don't know. I don't think they can work because even the holder of a J1 visa is not allowed to work. So your spouse, I don't think would also be allowed to work.
Okay, whilst we're on the visa stuff, there's also a question asking to elaborate a bit more on the point about J1 versus F1 visas and being able to work. Does this apply to part-time as well? And does it make a difference for physicians like yourself, for example?
Yes. So the F1 visa, it's a student visa, right? But the the perks with the F1 visa is that it comes with an eligibility to work, and you are only allowed to do a part-time work when school is in session. And in the US, part-time work is any work which is done less than 20 hours. If you go beyond the 20 hours, you are breaching US federal laws, and you can be deported for that if you are caught. A J1 visa is also a student visa, but you are not allowed to work on that visa. And as I said, in your application, you can always apply either at your US embassy or consulate for an F1 visa, and you'll be granted that. But there are certain situations where you wouldn't be allowed to come to campus or the US with an F1 visa. That is if you're on a certain type of scholarship or type of funding, like a Fulbright scholarship would only be granted a J1 visa. They are not allowed to work in within the US. So I think this is the explanation. But you can read more about the different visa requirements on the US website of your country because it keeps on changing. Yeah.
Okay, there's a question about how accessible are the research opportunities? How do you find research opportunities at Chan and at Harvard in general? I think one place when I was looking for jobs, I used Career Connected a lot. So that's the platform where I guess employers post opportunities and also even just like email blasts, like our health policy administrators send out weekly emails and usually there's always like research opportunities for you to apply. And then I guess of course LinkedIn and the other usual job finding websites.
Yeah, in terms of research opportunities, I think there are a lot here at Harvard. I think it's more or less geared towards what interests you in within the research atmosphere because you can get caught up in the idea of so many opportunities are here. I want to do everything at the same time. But the great thing about the Harvard faculty and just the institution itself is that everybody's doing research on something, so it's more or less looking into the type of research that you want to do and then who's doing it and then reaching out to those people to be able to get more information. And then usually the newsletters and the student news always are posting consistently different research opportunities that are available to students. I know I'm in the global health department as well as Alan, and usually our director, especially the one over the Masters of Science students, is constantly sending us research opportunities. So it's definitely open to students as long as you're looking as well. Sometimes it won't just come to you, so you have to be proactive as well.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes too, it's just within the classroom. One of the research projects that I'm on, the professor was like, "Oh, so I'm doing this research, and I need one of my students to be on it." And I just went and saw him after class, and I was like, "Oh, I'm interested," and sent my CV, and he was like, "Okay, hop on it," and that is how it works. But I think the question that people are asking is, but that's it's not really coming out is that not all research opportunities are paid. So for research, there's an abundance of research within Harvard. Any day, anytime, you can get a research to hop on. But the question is it paid? Some people want to rely on this research to be able to get something to keep themselves within the weeks or like just to fend for themselves. Some would hop on the research, not necessarily looking at the gains now, but looking at the relationship and what it has for them going on forward. So, in making this decision, you have to weigh the two. Do I want to work not for pay, but then in the near future, it's gonna open a big way for me. You just want to just hop on any research opportunity that is there, even if it's not your interest area.
I've also been seeing a lot of questions about the GRE still. Um, so because of COVID, there were obviously a variation in requirements for the GRE and also a variation in requirements according to the program. But what they're changing now is that some programs are now requiring the GRE, but you have to go in and look for yourself depending on the program that you want to apply to. I'm not, I saw one about MPH 65. I'm not 100% sure if the GRE is required for that program, but if they say it is recommended, etc., it really is. If you want more information, you can definitely reach out to the admissions team. But I know it really depends on how you think it's going to help with that application. If you are able to do that GRE, sure. If not, I would get advice more on that on the admissions committee on how to go about that. But if your application definitely says 100% the GRE is required, I will 100% recommend making sure you take that exam and then adding it to your application package. But it is tricky because in past years, some of them said the GRE wasn't required, but now that things are changing and going back to normal, they have changed that requirement. So please go out and make sure that you have the right information on that. And then in terms of whether it's if it says recommended or not, make sure that you if you're having doubts about whether to take it, reach out to the admissions team and get their advice on what they would recommend you to do moving forward with that.
And also, just on the same GRE, someone is asking whether a deadline, December 1st, they have a family emergency and that might delay their test. I think the advice that comes from the admissions committee is that try to submit your applications before December 1st or by December 1st. There are situations where people submit the applications and their transcript has been delayed either by worse or their GRE result isn't in yet, I think the advice is that just submit it, and as in when those results are ready, it would come and pile up to whatever information that the admissions committee has to make a decision. Yeah. So I would say if you still want to take the test, try to take it as soon as possible, but don't take it later than should I say December, mid-December or early January, because that might delay everything and you might not meet the admissions review process.
Sorry, not to go back to GRE, but I'm going to link the website on HSV or HSVH's website where they detail those test scores for GRE. I saw another question that was like, what does it mean when it says optional with guidance as well? It should explain it on the website. So definitely use that to guide your decision on if you want to take that GRE or not.
Also, with a WES evaluation, your university has to send it, your institution has to send it to WES. So what happens is that when you are filling the evaluation, they will ask you, where did you attend your undergrad? You put in maybe University Hebei, not University China. Then it will ask you for the institutional email. So WES would send an email to your admissions office or your academic office in your undergrad for them to upload your transcript. Now, if your academic department is very proactive, they would see the email and they will respond to it. But if you suspect that that might miss them by any chance, the week you are applying to WES, try to send a follow-up email to your university or go to your university if possible and tell them that, yes, I'm expecting an email from WES for you to upload my transcript, and I'll be happy if you see that email and respond to it as soon as possible. And that would now that would now depend on how your institution responds, how early your institution responds early to WES. And WES would usually take, I think, about 2 weeks to evaluate your transcript. Sometimes it might even stretch to a month. So looking at these timelines, I'm sure you should have already applied for your WES evaluation, or you should do it as soon as possible.
I see a question that's talking about whether to have a car in Boston. Typically, most students do not have a car because public transport works really well here. I will say parking is on the higher price within Boston. So if that's something that you can accommodate, that really is more of a personal decision. But if you don't have a car, that's okay. You be able to navigate the city as well because there's every form of public transport, train, bus, subway, etc. And it's also a walkable city, so that's something to also bear in mind.
There's a question about publications. I don't think it's a requirement for any of the programs. I guess if it supplements your essays well and like shows your particular interest in the area will be helpful, but I don't think it's a requirement to get into the MPH program.
Yeah, I got into a program without a publication, so it's possible.
There's a question about online courses. I know some of our classes are online, but I think generally for each of our programs is primarily in person.
Yeah. For online courses, there's an MPH generalist, which can be done online, but it's only eligible for US and Canadian citizens. If you are international student, not a Canadian, you cannot take that course because of the visa requirement. So the visa requirement is that for you to be able to do that course, you are not supposed to be either on an F1 visa or a J1 visa, and those are the visas that most international students are on. So we are not allowed to take courses online, yeah, based on the visa requirement. Um, do you have experience with submitting some documents after submission of your application, for example, English proficiency? Yes, I am a victim. As I said, I had my undergrad from China, and I'm a Ghanaian, right? So one of the universities that I applied to said that if you are a Ghanaian, there's an English proficiency waiver for your country. There's no need to give in the application. But after submitting my application, some weeks later, I received an email that my application is incomplete. And usually that's what all the universities would do. They would send you an email that your application is incomplete. You need to submit either your transcript, you need to submit your GRE, or what's the name, your English proficiency exam. So I had to immediately take one of the most available English proficiency tests that was quite close to me, and then I'd send the results to them. So does happen, and they will reach out to you if possible. But that does not mean you should deliberately forget certain documents that are required. What's the best way to reach out to faculty if they don't reply?
I really think the only way is probably email unless you're in one of their classes. Unfortunately, I think you really just have to keep following up. Sometimes professors are on sabbatical, so maybe that's why they're not replying, but that's really the only avenue I see.
And broaden your search. If you reach out to one faculty and they don't reply, you can either sometimes we have PhDs and postdoc students who are working under a certain faculty. Sometimes they are much easier to reach out to, and you can sometimes the information that you would like from a faculty member, they can be able to answer for you as well. But also you can look for other faculty members who do something closely or something that is similar to what the faculty member you're interested in doing is. Within the Harvard network, faculty are doing amazing things all over. So broaden your horizon. Reach out if you can't reach out to them. Reach out to their postdocs. Reach out to their PhDs. Reach out to people who are working in their lab. See what they say. LinkedIn is a great way to get that connection between who's with who. So it's a great way to kind of connect with them. And then also the websites. Obviously, you can go to each department and look for which professor is where. Sometimes professors might even refer you to somebody else. So just make sure that you are broadening your horizon with that.
I think our time is running out, but there's this interesting question that someone asks: what did you wish you knew before arriving on campus? And what did you wish you didn't stress over in retrospective? Uh,
I guess for me, I guess it's kind of bold, but I think before coming out, just stressing a lot about the community aspect of stuff. Like coming into Harvard, you're thinking it's going to be so competitive, and I wasn't really. I guess I was very anxious about that aspect of things. But I think Chan is not surprisingly, but kind of surprising, very collaborative, and everyone is very willing to help and very nice. So I think that's something I was stressing over, but it's also my favorite parts about being at Chan. Even the professors they're really willing to like take an like extra step and like help you do well in the class and understand material, and also like just the people, the other students, even people above us, everyone is really helpful and collaborative.
Yeah, in addition to the collaboration aspect of Chan, I'll also add the resources that are available to us. I think the moment I got in, I was already referred to so many places or so many avenues that could help me enrich my study within and outside of the class. So it's not so daunting at times because like everybody in here is willing to help you succeed and get to where you need to be, whether that's professors, whether that's staff, whether that's students themselves. Everybody is just willing to make sure that we're all kind of working towards the same goal. So supporting each other is a good thing. But there are a lot of resources that are available to students to be able to help them do what they want to do and achieve what they want to achieve, which is nice.
I think you all have said it all. It's just about how unique the student body is and how collaborative everyone is. It's the most important part of Harvard, and you would always stress to know whether you actually belonged to the school after even you've gained admission. But once you get here, you realize that everyone is just like you and everyone is willing to help you grow. Yeah. Any difficulties, particularly as an international student, and how did you navigate it?
I will say one of the biggest things would be culture. I think school is school. You have the resources that are available to you, but I also think in addition to going to school, you also are a person. You're leaving your family, your friends, coming to study in a probably a different environment. So getting used to that environment. Boston is cold. I don't like cold. So things like that, just getting used to, people and finding your community here, which luckily Harvard does a great job at connecting people with each other and helping people to build those communities here on campus. But I think with being an international student, sometimes you're looking for people who can relate with you or people that you can share things with. So I think that was a big aspect. But um, I was still able to be supported in that area. I have friends, etc. So it's really nice in that aspect. Yeah, since we're getting closer to time, I will emphasize again, if we weren't able to answer the question that you had asked, I know GRE was a big one, F1 was a big one. Please reach out to admissions. Their email is in the chat if you have any questions on like applying for visa, if you should write the GRE or not. Make sure that you're reaching out to the admissions to be able to get concrete answers from them and get that guidance. And then also, if you want to talk to more students as well, I've also put the link in the chat. Feel free to book an appointment with them or with us. Office hours are always an option. So use all the resources that are available to you, and all the best with all those who are applying this round.
Same here. Nice to read all your questions and interact with all of you. Wishing you all the best. And as Princess said, our office hours are available to talk further.
All the best, everyone.